Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of February 2016. And before we go into that, which you can see there's a bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about at great length, I assure you. Before we do that though, you obviously have noticed the change in format. Usually I do this show in all close-ups. This time I decided to do it in my more traditional format. Let me know what you guys think. If you prefer the old format, if you're okay with this. I just decided to mix it up and just kind of see what you guys think of that. So there you go. Second, I want you guys to of course acknowledge this. This is the PlayStation X or PSX. This is a Japanese PS2 with a hard drive and all sorts of stuff, only released in Japan. I talked about this at the time I posted this video. It's my most recent video before this, my Toy Rat Pickups video. He gave this to me absolutely for free, and I showed it to you guys in that video. The only reason I have it out here is I just wanted to show you there's a little PS to that video. I was able to open the bottom of this console up. It's a very odd design. I wasn't able to take the top off, but I could take the bottom off. I was able to get a bunch of dust out of there and clean it up from the inside and hopefully get it working, but it didn't. Nothing changed. I also managed to take the bottom. The plastic piece on the bottom was very yellow, so I was able to de-yellow that. So I just kind of wanted you guys to see it, and now it's full displayed glory. So there you go. But now let's start talking about pickups. Now this month is kind of ironic because I had intended to get almost no pickups, if anything, this month. I wasn't even sure I was going to be doing a PlayLoad this month originally. At least that was kind of my plan, and then my buddy Scott, the Canadian, kind of fucked up my plans. So I was in Canada for almost all of January, which is why you guys saw so many videos of this is what I did in Canada for all of February, because that's how much content I shot during the course of that month. In fact, there's some stuff I shot that hasn't come out yet, but still will. But my plan was basically to buy a bunch of stuff there and then just kind of not buy anything in February, just kind of ease up on the wallet a little bit, you know. So I was driving back on the 27th from Canada back to Chicago. Now, in doing so, you know, you cross the border, and then you drive across Michigan, then you drive down to Indiana, and then into Chicago in Illinois. And my buddy Scott said, hey, you know, when you're going and when you're back, if you're going through this specific route, which I was, he said you should stop at all these game stores along the way, in like Flint, Michigan, and Lansing, Michigan, and so forth. And I was just like, why? Why are you doing this to me, Scott? And so whatever, I had nothing else to do on the drive back. I had plenty of time, so I was like, okay, the hell with it, I'll go. I'll check out some of these stores. Now, I didn't film videos in any of these stores because I felt like I did too much of that already, and I figured you guys wouldn't want a whole another month of video game store videos. So maybe in the future, maybe if I ever go back to any of them, we'll see. But for now, just enjoy the pickups. Off the top of my head, I went to a couple of disc replays, which is a chain that exists throughout the Midwest. I know we have them in Illinois, they have them in Indiana, Michigan, and probably Wisconsin as well. I think I've seen them up there. Maybe in other states as well, but those are the only ones I know of. I went to those. I went to some mom and pop store. It was really just run by one guy, that's all he sold was video games. And I went to a couple of places called Game On, and they're both run by the same guy, but they have two different stores in the same city. So anyway, I went to those. A lot of those stores had good deals, like Game On had buy 2 get 1 free. Disc Replay had buy 5 get a 6th free. So yeah, it was cool. I got a lot of good stuff. As you can see, it's mostly original Xbox and some other surprise items in here, but it was very cool. Now, I did actually buy some. Now, technically, yes, that stuff's all from January, so it wasn't like stuff I picked up this month per se. But there was no other place to show them to you, and I did actually pick up a couple of things in February, kind of unintentionally, but I didn't have a choice. So I'll start with one of those. Donkey Kong Country Returns for the original Wii. As you guys know, I don't really buy a whole lot of Wii stuff because I have a bunch of games for the Wii. I have most of the ones that I would actually be interested in. It's just, yeah, I've never really pursued it. I do like this franchise, obviously. I really hate the controlling in this because I hate the Wiimote, but it's whatever. I wanted to pick up the game. Now, the reason I got this, though, was... this is the mother of all ironies. Okay, so I told you I didn't want to buy any damn games this month. I just didn't want to. But it's like the forces of temptation were just too strong. I couldn't resist. I was in Madison, Wisconsin, because I work up there a lot on film shoots and stuff. And sometimes film shoots will be very close back to back. So like I'll be working, then work stops, I have a day off, and then I'm working again on a different thing, right? So in the interim, I end up just staying at like a buddy's house instead of going to a hotel or anything like that. And so that day I had nothing else to do. So on those type of days, I do kind of decide, hey, maybe I'll check out Madison's game stores and see what I find. I really didn't want to do that, and I really wasn't going to do that until I started kind of browsing the internet and finding out like maybe if there's any other stores I don't know of, maybe I'll check that out. And then I found out about Madison's game sale. Now, this might blow your fucking mind. Okay, so you guys are, I'm sure, familiar with stores like Value Village or Goodwill. Thrift stores where people like bring all their shit into a store and they just donate it. The store then kind of cleans it up and puts it out on the shelf and charges, you know, something ridiculously cheap for it. They make money, and it's literally Goodwill, okay? Now, Madison has their own chain of that. It's not called Value Village, it's not called Goodwill, although they do actually have Goodwill, but they have this other thing which the name is escaping me at the moment. And they have a few of them in the city. And what they do, their policy with video games is actually very specific. They'll take every video game that they get and they'll just put it off to the side in the back somewhere in any one of their stores. And then every 6 months, namely in February and August, they decide to have this big video game blowout sale. And I didn't know about it until recently. And so I was like, holy shit, I'm actually here on one of the days when the sale's going on. The sale was like 10 days or something, and I was there on like day 9, which makes me very sad because it means that a lot of days went by probably getting picked clean and taking all the best stuff, but I still went. And I have no footage, I'm sorry, but you can use your imagination. They had big tables set up full of PlayStation 2. Big table full of of original Xbox. They had a big tower of Wii stuff, hence this. It was mostly shovelware, but this was in there, so I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna grab that. They had some PS1, but you know, and some cartridge-based stuff, but not much. They had a lot of consoles, like an entire wall of original Xboxes, PS2s, PS1s, some Sega Genesis, Wii's. A lot of the more common stuff. I didn't get any of the consoles. They were $5 flat rate on consoles. But the temptation wasn't there for me because I have all of them. I have enough of them. And the other thing is there's no returns and there's absolutely no guarantee it works. It may not even power on. That's the risk you take. It's like what you see is what you get for $5. That's the deal. Now with games, it's a little bit different. There's still no returns, but it's a flat rate of $1 a game. $1 a game. Doesn't matter if it's a fucking loose cartridge of a beat-up copy of Madden 93 for the Genesis or if it's a sealed copy of Panzer Dragoon Saga for the Saturn. Doesn't matter. It's $1. Assuming you find anything you want. Now, there was almost no Nintendo stuff, man. That shit had been raided. So I was actually very amazed to even see this. So other than this, the only thing I got at that sale were various Xbox games, which I'm going to go over in a minute. But first, let's talk about a couple other things I got. I got a couple of PS4 games. I got Dying Light, and I got Far Cry Primal. I got both of these for free. A buddy of mine had this, and he decided to get the Enhanced Edition, or whatever it's called, for the PC. So he didn't want this anymore, so he just gave this to me. And Ubisoft mailed this to me for free because I attended their press event in Los Angeles a few months back, and this was just kind of a thank you to anybody who went to the event. So that's how I ended up with that. But now let's talk about original Xbox. I'm not going to lie, I don't remember where each of these came from. They all came from one of these stores in Michigan or the thing in Wisconsin. So I'm just going to go through them. If I remember where they came from, I'll tell you. But like I said, a lot of them came from Disc Replay, and a lot of them came from the thing in Wisconsin. So I've got them separated by what's 360 compatible and what's not 360 compatible. So I'll go through the 360 compatible ones first. Alien vs. Predator Extinction. Blade 2, Call of Duty 3. I actually had no idea Call of Duty 3 was on the original Xbox. I don't know how I missed that, but there you go. Dinotopia, Frogger Beyond, Goblin Commander, Unleash the Horde, The Guy Game, which is a North American exclusive and a very infamous one too. This game was only sold for 4 months before it was ultimately recalled. The idea is it's like just a shitty trivia game, and if you get trivia right, there's these clips of these girls and they'll get naked. It's like, oh, spring break, you know, that kind of shit. They realized that one of the girls in the game was 17 at the time they filmed it, and as a result, they had to actually pull the game because she was underage. So it's actually a very uncommon game. It's also a North American exclusive. Judge Dredd, Dredd versus Death. Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX 2. Got this basically because he died, so I figured, okay, you know, let's honor his memory a little bit and get his Xbox game. Need for Speed Underground 2. Project Gotham Racing, which I was really surprised to realize I didn't actually have already. Scooby-Doo, Night of 100 Frights. If you saw the game I got before, I got a different Scooby-Doo game when I was up in Canada. There's actually 3 of them on the original Xbox. I had no idea. So now I have 2 of them. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. Starsky and Hutch. Tony Hawk's Underground 2. And Without Warning. Those are all, of course, original Xbox games that are, again, are compatible with the 360, which is awesome. And now we will quickly move over here to the Xbox games that are not compatible with the 360. Again, sorry, I don't remember exactly where they all came from. Some of those were like just $1, and then some of them were like normal prices from a disc replay. Ants Extreme Racing, based on that movie. Championship Bowling. Dance Dance Revolution Ultra Mix. Aragon. Gunmetal. Just Cause. Okay, this story I actually do remember. Okay, check this out. Ooh, this is super exciting. Very rare stuff here. Madden 2002, Madden 2004, Madden 2005, Madden 07, Madden 08, and Madden 09. Now, if you're like, what the hell, dude? Why'd you buy all these sports games? Actually, I didn't. I was at one of the disc replays. I think it was the one around Flint. Disc replay, I think I mentioned this before, they have a policy of you buy 5 and you get a 6th game free. So I was like, okay, sweet, I'll take advantage of that. And that's always the cheapest game. So I went up there and I had 6 games. It worked on me. And I'm at the register and the guy's like, oh, you must like the original Xbox a lot. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was just like, well, have you checked out our free bin over there? And I was like, your free bin? Because some disc replays do that. Not all of them do. The free bin is essentially, it's literally what it sounds like. It's just a box. And they put stuff in there they know they can't sell. Either they have too much of it, they know nobody's ever going to come in and buy it, or like it's just the case and they lost the disc, or it's just the disc and they lost the case, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe it's just a manual, or it's a DVD of some movie with no case. You get the idea. It's just junk mostly. So I looked in there and it was all that kind of shit, but they had a ton of Xbox sports games, and so I was like, really, these are free? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I grabbed all the ones I didn't have, which was really just all these Madden games. They were actually in really good shape, which tells me they were overstock. And then after I left and I was kind of looking at all the games and stuff, I realized that this one's actually special. It's Madden 09. This game, unlike those, which are only like 99-cent games at best, this one's actually about 20 bucks and, on average. And the reason for that is Madden 09 is the last original Xbox game that was ever produced. Ever. In the entire world, this was the last one. So, yeah, that's really interesting. So, there you go. Because the system was basically discontinued in like 05 when they released the 360. It still had some support there. This game came out in 08. So, it came out a full 3 years after it was discontinued, which is part of the reason why it's uncommon. It's always the damn sports games, man, that outlive the consoles. Okay, back on point here. MotoGP 3. Myst 4 Revelation. This one was kind of nice. I know I got this in Michigan, although I don't remember which store in Michigan. Probably it had to be one of the disc replays, I guess. Or maybe it was Game On. Whatever. The reason I remember that is because this is a game I never see anywhere except in like Canada. I've seen it in Canada a lot, and I never see it in the States. But this was there, so it was cheap. I went for it. I don't think it was a Canadian exclusive. I'm sure that's just a coincidence that I'd never seen it here, but yeah. Power Drome. Sega GT 2002. I have this already as like the combo disc with Jet Set Radio Future, but I wanted to get the separate one because I have Jet Set Radio Future separate, so it's good to get that. Stacked, which is a super common game you see everywhere. I'm going to show you this one last. Totaled, which is, this had a totally different name. I want to say Mashed or something like that in the UK, or in Europe, all of Europe. And Reckless, the Yakuza missions, which is one of those games that Microsoft really pushed like at the beginning of the console lifespan for some reason, even though I don't think it was an exclusive to them. All right, now here's the one that I got a good story for. Teen Titans. Okay, now Teen Titans is a super rare original Xbox game. Now, the reason it's rare is that it came out in 2006, like a full year after the 360 had come out. It came out on the PS2 and the GameCube as well, and those versions are not that hard to find. The Xbox version sold like shit. They produced very few copies of it. And I've seen it before a few times, but I never bothered to pick it up because I always figured I could get it cheaper. I would see it in stores for like 40 bucks and be like, the hell with that, no Xbox. I mean, there's very few original Xbox games that get anywhere near that kind of price point with $40. The original Xbox stuff is fucking cheap. Okay, so I was like, I'm not going to pay 40 bucks for this thing. Let me jump ahead a little bit here. I'm later talking to a buddy of mine named Shen Muso, Ben, a friend of mine from the UK, and he sent me a list of North American Xbox exclusives that he wants to see if I can track down for him. So I'm like, sure. And Teen Titans was on the list. And then he even followed it up by being like, by the way, good luck ever finding Teen Titans. I know it's totally impossible. The irony is I had just seen this in a Retro Replay in Canada and I didn't even think twice about it. But yeah, so he tells me that, and I was like, dude, I see Teen Titans all the time for like 40 bucks. I'm not picking it up. He's like, it's only 40 bucks? Go get it. What are you doing? And I was like, it's $40. I'm not going to spend $40 on this game. He's like, look it up. So I looked it up on eBay. This game's going for like $140, going like $120 to $150 now. It's like, when the hell did that happen? Holy shit, how? So I was like, oh crap, I should go out and look for it. But I didn't have to, for myself anyway, because this is one of the games I got up in Wisconsin at that dollar sale. I knew I would find it cheaper eventually, I just didn't know, damn. Like, I knew it was a good deal at $1 when I was thinking it was going to be 40. I had no idea it was going to be a tremendous deal when apparently it's supposed to be like in the multi-hundred range. That's awesome to have that. It's happy. Alright, still got some more stuff here. Now, as I mentioned, there was this little mom and pop store. It was like run by like one guy and he just sold video games. All I picked up from him was a bunch of Sega Saturn stuff. You guys might recall, man, it's been over a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. There was a time where I was trying to go for a full Sega Saturn North American set, and I was doing pretty well for a while, but I just ran out of the well of luck just ran dry. I stopped being able to find Saturn games anywhere, and if I did, it was always the same shit I either had or sports titles. So this guy had a very decent selection of Sega Saturn stuff. I'm going to say good prices, not great. It wasn't like dirt cheap stuff, but at the same time it wasn't eBay prices. It was like right in the middle. It was what I would say was reasonable. So I ended up getting a bunch of games. So here's what I got. Although one of them came from Disc Replay, which I'll mention when I get to it. Golden Axe, The Duel. Time Warner Interactive's VR Virtua Racing. Street Fighter Alpha 2. Street Fighter Collection, this was the one I got at Disc Replay, and that'll be significant in a bit for a reason. This is actually a pretty uncommon game. Virtual Open Tennis. Off-World Interceptor Extreme. Bust-A-Move 3. Power Slave. Dark Savior. WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. And Virtua Fighter Remix. Now this one's actually the most exciting one to have. It's very odd reasons. Now this game is by no means uncommon. Like, you can find it pretty easily, just the game. And the reason for that, as far as I understand it, is that when the Saturn launched, it launched 5 months ahead of schedule. Like, they jumped the launch date. That was Sega's big move to try and push Saturns out the door. It was, surprise, the console's already available. Didn't work at all. One of the problems with doing that is they had to tell a lot of developers, like, hey, you know that game you thought you had another 5 months to work on? Yeah, you need to finish it right now. Let's go. So a lot of games, a lot of launch titles for the Saturn were botched to hell. One of them being Virtua Fighter. So what Sega decided to do was to kind of make up for that. They would let the team finish the game the way it was kind of intended to be, probably add a few more bells and whistles, and then release it in North America, throughout North America. In the US, what they did was they basically mailed it out to people. They gave it away for free with the console. They packed it into a lot of other games. Like, there was a lot of ways to get Virtua Fighter Remix. Except in a long box like this. You couldn't do that, apparently. At least that's what I've been told. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So if you're saying, well, if it didn't get sold like this, how do you have it? Well, from my understanding, and again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, this is just what I've read a few times, they didn't do that in Canada. In Canada, they didn't do the thing where they gave it away for free and all that. They just bundled it like this and just sold it on store shelves. So what I'm basically telling you is, if the story's correct, the long box version of this game was only sold in Canada. Now, ironically, even though I'd been there for a whole month, I'd never seen it there. I'd been there many times before, never seen it there. Found it in Michigan, which is a border state, so it's not like it's impossible. But yeah, that's what I was told, and if that's true, that makes sense, because the long box version of this game, go look on eBay, you will have a hard time finding it. It's very uncommon, and I think it's for that reason. So now, we got one more pickup here, and I mentioned disc replay, and that would be significant with this other Saturn game here, Street Fighter Collection. Alright, so I went to disc replay, I believe it was the one in Lansing, Michigan. And again, they had the same policy, you know, you buy 5, you get a 6th free. And so I didn't actually need a 6th game, so I went over and I just said, well, I'm not going to not get a free game. So I looked over, and I think I found like some sports game for like $1 that I didn't have. So I was like, great, I'll take that. And I'm sitting there waiting in line to buy this, and I look over to the left of where I'm standing, and I see just like a miscellaneous section. It's really the only way I can describe it. They had like, for example, all right, so Disc Replay sells music, movies, games, obviously, Blu-rays. But when I say music, I mean like they sell music CDs. They don't really sell vinyl records. So the few that they have are on that wall. A lot of specialty items are over there. Things that have a very specific audience that you can't put with general items. Another example, like they had a full box set of like, I think it was Doctor Who. I don't watch Doctor Who, but I know it, I recognize it. So they had that, but at the same time it had like it clearly had been imported from the UK because it had like their rating system on it as opposed to ours, which means it's like a region protected DVD, which is why it has to be over there, because the person buying it has to be like informed on what it is. It can't be with the general mass stuff where they could just buy it and leave, come back, and then get pissed off when they get home and it doesn't work and they have to come back and all that shit. So that section is just, you know what I'm saying? It's just specific stuff for specific people. So I wasn't really that interested because I wasn't looking at those two items with any great interest. The first one being records, I should have said, if I didn't already. But as I'm standing there in the line and looking at it, I noticed something familiar, or at least I think it is. I see artwork that looks like Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. Now that artwork is from, that's a game that is the rarest game on the original Xbox. It's also a very rare PS2 game, but by no means as rare as the Xbox version. So that caught my interest, and I went over there because I was like, hey, if they have one game, maybe they have others. So I went there, and sure enough, it was Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. They had 2 copies of it for the PS2. I think they were only charging like $20 each or something like that. It was not very high. Maybe it was 30, but it really wasn't that bad. And there was just a lot of miscellaneous games there, with no real rhyme or reason. And one of them was Street Fighter Collection. Like, it clearly hadn't been touched in a long time. For example, the labels that they use at the disc replay are white. You know, they put a white sticker on there with the price on it. This stuff had been there so long, the stickers had yellowed, which meant nobody touched that section in a long time. So, in addition to Street Fighter, this is what I got. Lunar, the Silver Star story for the Sega CD. This is like an $80 game. They were only asking $40. Now, 40 is not exactly chump change, but that's a really good deal for this game. The game's in like mint condition. There's nothing wrong with the box. The disc looks like it's never been played before. It even had a little foam insert, clearly out of the hands of a collector and onto that shelf for, who knows, maybe a decade. I don't know how long it had been sitting there, but it had been a while. So I was pretty happy to get that. There was some other stuff there, but I left them there for other collectors. I was like, like, for example, the only other one I can remember is they had Lunar for like the PS1 there, in really good shape, pretty good price, but I was like, I'm not going to buy that just for the sake of buying it. I know there's somebody out there who would really love to have that. I don't really collect PS1 stuff that much. I'm going to leave it for them. But this, I do like the Sega CD stuff a lot, so I wanted to get that. So that's it for the things I bought. However, we're not done. I received a package this month, and it's so big, I got to take all this off and bring the package out here, but it's going to be fun. Sorry about the jump cut there, but as you can see from the size of this box, it really had to be done that way. I moved all the other stuff out of here, and now we're left with this. Now the story with this box is this was sent to me by a viewer named Carlo from Pennsylvania. That's specifically what he wanted to be called, Carlo from Pennsylvania. So thank you, Carlo from Pennsylvania. He contacted me a while back, and he said something to the extent of like, I have this thing from the second video game generation. I don't really want it, so if you want it, I'd be happy to send it to you. And so I replied and I said, "Oh, thank you, but you know, you really don't have to do that." And he didn't reply back, so I figured he kind of read it and went, "Yeah, I guess I don't have to." And then that was that. And then like a while later, he sent me a message. He was like, "Oh, dude, sorry, I forgot all about this. Yes, I do want to send it to you. So if you want it, I'll send it." And I was like, "Okay, sure." I don't know what he's sending, so I was like, "Okay." Like, for all I know, this whole box is nothing but ET cartridges for the 2600. I have no idea what's in here. He said, "Yeah, I'd be happy to send it." So I was like, "Okay, okay." And then a few weeks again went by, maybe even like a couple of months, and I had forgotten all about it. And then he sent me a message saying something again to the extent of like, "Dude, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot about this. It's in the mail. Here's the tracking number. Thank you again for the videos." And I was like, "Well, thank you for sending this." So yeah, it's here, and I thought I would show you guys this. Now this is very ironic. I pre-sliced the package, and so it is technically open, though I haven't looked inside. And the reason for that is that a bunch of you in the previous PlayLoad were like, "I get it. Thank you for opening the packages, keeping them sealed, and trying to open them on camera, but you keep fussing with the camera, and you can never do it with just one hand. So just pre-slice. Just pre-slice. It's fine." So that was my intention, but then obviously I changed up the video format. So very ironically, I didn't actually need to pre-slice it, but hey, it is what it is. So now we're gonna open it up, and we will see what it is. Oh shit! Look at this. The thing on top here, this box. It's a boxed Odyssey 400. Now this isn't actually a second gen thing. This is a first generation like Pong clone console. That's really cool. I already have one of the, I have a, not this one, but I have an Odyssey 2000, a red one. I think a guy named Dave sent that to me a while back. Very cool. So that's cool to have a first generation Magnavox Odyssey 400. And it looks like, oh shit. Okay, so this is just a bonus, I guess. This is not what he intended. Look at this. He sent a boxed Odyssey 2. Holy shit. I don't have an Odyssey 2. The Odyssey 2, well now I guess I can do a video on it. The Odyssey 2 was an Atari 2600 competitor. It had its own library of games, not to be confused with this thing. It wasn't just a Pong clone. It looks like a weird keyboard basically, and then it had cartridges that would go in there, and then these two controllers like that. That's really cool. In the box too, that's really pretty impressive. I'll double check, see if there's anything else in here. Oh, check it out. He gave there's some controllers. They say Atari on them, which is kind of odd. Let's see here. What else we got? He's got these 4 controllers that say Atari and have like this weird little jack on them, but I don't know what they are. And looks like we got some Odyssey 2 games. We got Speedway, Spin Out, and Crypto Logic, all on one cartridge. Volleyball, and Alien Invaders Plus, which looks to be a Space Invaders clone. That's kind of what this console was known for, is it had a lot of like 2600 clone games. Like the only one I know offhand was KC Munchkin, which was a Pac-Man clone. Oh, there's more stuff. What do we got here? Oh, okay, this would explain those little controllers. Ultra Pong. It's another first generation console. This one's by Atari. Wow, that's really cool. I've never seen this thing before. I can tell it's first gen because all first gen stuff is Pong stuff, and yeah. But it's by Atari. That's really neat. That would explain the controllers. And then we got some more things. Oh, look at this. We got boxed Odyssey 2 games. Cosmic Conflict. Oh, there's a boxed copy of Speedway, Spin Out, and Crypto Logic. A boxed copy of Freedom Fighters. Very cool. What else? We got more boxed Odyssey 2 games. We got Blockout Breakdown, which I think is just a clone of Breakout, and Bowling. Very cool. And there's one more thing here. Let's see what this is. This is taped. Give me a second. It is, oh, more loose Odyssey 2 games. Let me get this box out of here. Okay, so we have Football, Cosmic Conflict, again, loose cartridge. I think there was a boxed one here somewhere. And Nimble Numbers Ned. Never heard of that one. But there you go. That was so that's really cool. So basically, we got an Odyssey 2 here, plus a bunch of Odyssey 2 games, as well as a couple of first-gen Pong clone consoles, one by, again, Magnavox, and one by Atari, of all people, so that's really neat. So, wow, thank you to Carlo from Pennsylvania. That's really awesome of you to do that. Thank you to Ubisoft for hooking me up with that copy of Far Cry Primal. Thanks to my friend for hooking me up with that copy of Dying Light. And thank you to Scott and to my buddy Ben for kind of forcing me to buy other things. Thank you. And thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. So I'll see you all later.